The next stuff we do is wood and plastics. We start with some plastic stuff here. When I have this pin here, just switch it to the mode. So same stuff, assign a new material. And I delete all my type history here because I don't want any other stuff. So give it some name. Plastic, I don't know what color it will get. And I change here the preset also to plastic and see what happens. I guess this will be a quite glossy one. So let's check in our live rendering. Or not the glossy one. So when you want to change the color, of course, do whatever color you like. Then it's always the same in tuning the material stuff. When you, for example, when you decrease the weight a little bit, or of course the color, or the base weight is how light it is. If you want to give it some metal look, more or less, feel free to do that. You see it's getting immediately some kind of metal, but I don't want to do this. Now the diffuse roughness does not so much, so the only thing that you could tune here is when you want it to be really glossy. Let's just switch here the renderer to my Arnold live rendering, so without the selection stuff. So see it a little bit better that it is really glossy now. Just change my view a little bit. So you see it now, it has quite hard edges and highlights. Adjust some roughness if you want to have it in a matte look. And yeah, that's it actually. If you want to have it a little bit transparent, of course you're invited to use here the transmission, and it looks a little bit strange. If you want to, if you add some color here also in the transmission, it will get a more, yes, so what should I say, even more plastic look. Okay, so it's always about playing around. Which look do you want to achieve here? What you could also do, I have here the blues, a subsurface scattering in it here. I don't see it quite because maybe the scale is too high, but if I let's see if something happens. No, not really. Yeah, yes. When I get here scale 0, you see it's getting a tint of this under the surface color, more or less. Of course we don't want a yellow here, but if you give it also a pink look, you see how different the material could look like if you just play around with this stuff a little bit. See, okay, when you add here some weight in the subsurface scattering, so it's getting even another more or less plastics look. Okay, then more interesting thing is the wood. And for the wood, there are so many materials on the internet. I already showed you some pages. So feel free to download any stuff here that you like for your floors or for your desks or whatever. See here, what's seamless wood, always cool. And of course you got a lot here prepared for you. In your source images, you have a lot of wood stuff here, just for you to choose. Some seamless wood, and you see here, this is downloaded wood, which has actually the same naming, and where you see, okay, we have normal maps here that will help us to create more roughness, and also roughness maps, we will also use them. So when you got those, also use them, because they will make a much better look. So we'll just try and see what comes out, because I will change actually the wood of my table here. Maybe which one should I take? No. Yes, I will take that one. So stop the rendering here, and so close it. And in my wood, I change here. First of all, I change the image to maybe just that one. See what's happening here. So it's going the wrong direction actually, but I don't care here. And what we've got also is a normal map, and I also go here in the bump mapping and add this normal map. It was, yeah, this one. And be sure when you use a normal map that you also decrease here the bump depth, and you have to switch here, of course, to tension space normals. And I just see what my result is, because I haven't added anything, but that you get the idea what is changing when I do different stuff. So I made little test renderings. This is the image with just the color, without, of course, without any roughness or so, and also without the bump map. That is a rendering with the bump map and with a bump depth of 1. This is a rendering actually where I used here the tension space normals. You see it's a completely different look, but of course you get here some other details actually. Okay, so just try what fits your need. If the bump map works as tension space normals better or even worse, just try. And I just, because I'm not so happy with that, but I was happy with the bump map, so I used here now these settings. I used the normal map actually as bump map, and with a bump depth of 0.3, so I just have this small scratches and just a little bit of roughness in it. And to get even more realistic look, we will add a roughness map, because we have one, and any black and white image will help us to create an even better look. So what we could do actually is when we go here into our materials, and we have here specular roughness, and there we, no, before I show you that. I just show you what happens when I just add the roughness to 0. Of course, we have a highly glossy stuff here, and we also see our bump map. And when we increase our roughness, of course, it fades out the specular reflection here. So, and actually, wood isn't perfectly glossy, of course, except when it's really high gloss polished, but there are areas where the glossiness is more or less high, and that is what we want to achieve. Before we add our actual roughness map, I just show you what we can do when we add here, for example, just a checker that you see what black and white does. You see the result immediately. The white areas are completely glossy and the black ones are completely matte. And when you want to do actually some kind of tuning here, you see when we have a light gray, it's not so glossy, and the darker one does also its work. So that's the thing that we want to achieve with the roughness map, that it's not evenly glossy or not evenly matte, that it's a mix of it, and this will create more realistic look. So I just go back and break the connection again so that nothing is in it, and then I really add my file. My roughness map is, I think it was that one, roughness. You see it's quite even gray, so I'm not sure if we see really good the difference, but we just try. So I have already a rendering, and it's that one. No, it's that one. That's how it looks like, our current roughness map. But what we can do, also see it here, also in my live rendering, what we can do to adjust maybe a little bit more roughness variety. You can also take any other map when, for example, you have I have here a map which is more contrasty. Of course, it's not the perfect wooden look, but I have here places with more or less white, and maybe it changes a little bit, but still it's too matte for me. So what I can do, for example, I just scroll down here. There are some color balance issues, and what I can do is, for example, decrease, when I say here the alpha gain, is how much does the map affect actually our result. So I can add here even a little bit more specularity because I like it. So it just depends on which look do you want to create, or do even a more contrasty map on it, or go to Photoshop and adjust your roughness map so that it's more black or white, and so you get a more decent result. So this is how our wood looks like. I'm quite happy with it, but as always, you decide how your materials should look like. But I guess I showed you everything important to know about to create a good wood.